This is section 1.6, and the first thing you need to know about section 1.6, since we've already taken our chapter 1 test, this is part of chapter 2 or unit 2. Make sure you mark that in your notes. This is part of chapter 2, so you know what to study for your test. In section 1.6, we're going to use angle-pair relationships. And we're going to have 2 vocabulary, and then we'll discuss some special properties these have. The first one is vertical angles. Vertical angles are 2 non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines. Non-adjacent means we want the pair of angles in the picture not next to each other. And this always forms 2 pairs. So if I look for angles that are not next to each other, I have that angles 1 and 3 are non-adjacent, those are vertical angles, and 2 and 4 are vertical angles. The next definition is a linear pair, and you need to know both of these definitions, the names of them, for when we work with proofs. So when you put down vertical angles, you might put a star next to the name. It's very important. Same thing with linear pair. Linear pair are 2 adjacent angles, 2 angles that are right next to each other, whose non-common sides, the side they don't share, are opposite rays. These are 2 adjacent angles who make a straight line. The 2 important properties we need to know about these definitions are as follows. The first one is that vertical angles are always congruent. So we're going to go back to our picture of vertical angles, and I'm going to mark the congruences. 1 and 3 are vertical angles. Those are congruent, so we're going to put a single arc on each. 2 and 4 are vertical angles. Those are congruent. Since we already used single arcs, I'm going to put a double arc on each. Vertical angles are always congruent. If you're given the ones across from each other, you're going to set those measures equal. The second important thing is that the sum of the measures of angles in a linear pair is always 180. We're going to go back to the picture. This is a pair of angles that make up a line. Lines are always 180 degrees. So if you have this pair of angles, you're going to add them up and set it equal to 180 to find individual measures. So we're going to go to some pictures. It says to find the missing angles. We're going to start with a vertical angle. If the angle on top is 130, these are 2 straight intersecting lines, then the one on bottom will also be 130. Then we'll look for straight lines. There's a straight line here, so I know that the 130 and this angle next to it have to add up to 180 degrees. 180 minus 130 leaves me 50 degrees. Vertical to this on the right would be another 50 degrees. Another picture for find the missing angles, 2 straight intersecting lines. We have a 54-degree angle on the right-hand side. Vertical to that on the left is another 54-degree angle. Again, if we can find any straight line, I'm going to go this way, those angles have to add up to 180 degrees. So 180 minus 54, this will require you to borrow, is 126. Vertical to this on the bottom would be another 126-degree angle. We're going to expand our picture a little bit. This time we have 3 intersecting lines. I'm going to start by focusing on just 2 at a time. When I look at these 2, I know that the 60 is vertical to this 60 degrees. And when I look at these, that 40 is vertical to this 40 degrees. Then again, if we look for straight lines, these 3 angles all together would make the straight line. So those 3 this time have to add up to 180. So if we do 40 plus 60 plus something, we get 180. 40 and 60 is 100. 180 minus 100 tells me this is 80 degrees. Since these are straight intersecting lines that form the 80, vertical to that is another 80 degrees. You can use things like the fact the circle is 180 to check all the way around your picture, and that a circle is 360 and check that it's 360 degrees. Also, you can check any straight line to make sure it's 180. We're going to do 2 types of algebra problems. We're going to use the same picture for all of these, so you have to draw this at least once. You have your 2 intersecting lines, and these are numbered clockwise. The top is 1, right is 2, bottom is 3, and left is 4. They're going to give us 2 angles, and we need to figure out if they're congruent, and we set them equal, or if they're a linear pair, and we add them up and set it equal to 180 degrees. These are the only two options. So if we look, they told us the measure of angle 1 is 5x plus 3. The measure of angle 2 is 7x minus 9. These are vertical angles. They're non-adjacent. They're opposite each other, so they're congruent. So we're going to set 5x plus 3 equal to 7x minus 9. We move the smaller x. 5x is positive, so we're going to subtract it. So 3 equals 2x minus 9. All of our x's are on the right. We need to move numbers to the left. To move minus 9, we're going to add 9 to each side. So 12 equals 2x. And again, 2 and x are against each other. They're multiplied. So x is 6. In the book, they'll ask you to find the variable, and you would stop here. Anytime we're working on a handout or worksheet in class, a test or a quiz, you will need to plug back in. Be sure you show that you found x, because even if you forget to plug back in or you plug in correctly, you can get half credit for this x value. This problem asks to find the measure of angle 1. So we're going to go back and plug in a 6 for x. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 3 is 33. One way you can check your answer is to plug this x value in for the other angle, for angle 3. 7 times 6 is 42, minus 9 is also 33. That should have happened. They're vertical, so they should be the same measure. We know we got this problem correct. Same type of problem. They told us that angle 2 is 4x plus 7, and the measure of angle 4 is 7x minus 5. Again, these are vertical angles, so we're going to set them equal. I'm going to start by moving the smaller x. The smaller one is 4, and it's positive, so we're going to subtract 4x. 7x minus 4x is 3x. Minus 5 comes down, equals 7. All of our x's on the left. We're going to move numbers to the right by getting rid of minus 5, so we're going to add 5 to both sides. 3x equals 12. 3 and x are multiplied, so to move the 3 we divide. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. Again, this is your x value. We need to go plug back in. This time, they want the measure of angle 3. I don't know anything about the measure of angle 3. What I'm going to do is to plug into one of my other angles. So I'm going to find the measure of angle 2. So 4 times 4, because x is 4, plus 7. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 7 is 23. I know angle 2 is 23 degrees. To find angle 3, 2 and 3 make a linear pair. They should add up to 180. So 180 minus 23, if you need to, you can borrow, means that the measure of angle 3 would be 157 degrees. When you solve these problems, the best thing to do is to look at the two angles given, do what you know you should. Are they equal or do they add up to 180? And then worry about what they're asking for after you've solved for x. We're going to go to the second type of algebra problem. This one's type 2. They're going to give us some different information in this type. The measure of angle 4 is 8x. The measure of angle 1 is 2x. What you will notice is that these aren't across from each other. They aren't vertical. They do make a straight line, so they do make 180 degrees. If they're next to each other, if they're adjacent, we're going to add these up and set it equal to 180. So we're going to do 8x plus 2x equals 180. These are like terms. We don't have to do any opposite operations. 8x plus 2x is 10x. And if we divide by 10, we'll find that x is 18. They are asking for the measure of angle 1, so we're going to plug in an 18 for x. And 2 times 18 is 36 degrees. That's our answer. We could double check this by putting 18 in for x on the measure of angle 4. 8 times 18 is 144. 144 and 36 do add up to 180. Let's do another of that type. This time the measure of angle 3, same picture, is 3x plus 8. Angle 2 is 5x plus 12. Again, these are not vertical, they're not opposite, they are next to each other and make 180 degrees. So we're going to add 3x plus 8 plus 5x plus 12 and set it equal to 180. Looking for like terms, 3x plus 5x is 8x. Positive 8 plus 12 is 20. We want to get all our numbers to the right, so we're going to subtract 20. So 8x equals 160. And if we divide by 8, we find that x is 20. Don't forget to plug back in. This is asking for the measure of angle 2, so we're going to do 5 times 20 plus 12. 5 times 20 is 100, plus 12 is 112 degrees. Again, if you plug into the other angle, you should get 68 because 112 plus 68 does add up to 180, and that is a way you can check your answer. A couple other things we're going to discuss in section 1.6. The first one is complementary angles. Complementary are angles whose sum is 90 degrees. Complementary means they add up to 90. They do not have to be adjacent or next to each other to be congruent. If you're asked to find the complement, that means you're asked to find an individual angle. So for example, find the complement. Find what I would put with this to get 90 degrees. Number 1, find the complement of 65 degrees. You're going to take 90 and subtract 65, and you'll find the complement is 25 degrees. Number 2, the complement of 80 is what you would put with it to make 90 degrees. So 90 minus 80 means the complement is 10 degrees. Number 3, the complement of 17, what you would put with it to make 90. So 90 minus 17 means that your complement would be 73 degrees. Number 4, the complement of x. If we do 90 minus x, those are not like terms. That is our complement, just 90 minus x degrees. We're also going to talk about supplementary angles. Supplementary angles are two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. This time they add up to 180, supplementary. They do not have to be adjacent or next to each other to be congruent. And if you're asked to find a supplement, you're finding the individual angles. For example, number 1, find the supplement of 110 degrees. It's what you would put with 110 to make 180. So 180 minus 110 means the supplement is 70 degrees. Number 2, to find the supplement of 30 degrees, it's what you would put with 30 to make 180. So 180 minus 30 is 150 degrees. Number 3, the supplement of 137, what you would put with 137 to get 180, if you subtract, you will find that it should be 43 degrees. Just like our example 4 with complement, the supplement of A would be 180, supplementary is 180, minus A degrees. We're going to use these for story problems. Number 1 says one of two adjacent angles is 4 times the other. Their sum is 130 degrees. Find the angles. When you start a story problem, there are two angles we're looking for. We're always going to call the first angle x. So at the top I'm going to define my variables. X is my first angle. Then it should describe your second angle. It says one of two adjacent angles is 4 times the other. So if the first one's x, the second one is 4 times x. Then it will tell you something that the angles add up to. Their sum, what happens if I add them up, is 130. So x plus 4x equals 130. And make sure you get both angles. These are like terms, so 5x equals 130. And if we divide by 5, we get that x is 26. Now it does say to find the angles. The first one was x, so the first one is 26 degrees. The second one will be 4 times x, so we're going to do 4 times 26, which would be 104 degrees. Use your 130 to double check this. 26 and 104 is 130 degrees, so we know we got the problem right. Let's try another word problem. One of two complementary angles. Now remember, complementary tells us that their sum is 90 degrees. So one of two complementary angles is 30 less than 3 times the other. Find the angles. We're always going to call the first angle x. So our first angle is x. They should describe the second angle. So it says one of these is 30 less than 3 times the other. Remember in algebra, less than said that that front number got tossed to the back. So this is 3 times the angle, 3x, minus 30. That's 30 less than 3 times the other. If we add these two up, we should have a sum of 90 degrees because they're complementary. So x, the first angle, plus 3x minus 30, the second angle, has to add up to 90. These are like terms. X plus 3x is 4x, minus 30 equals 90. We need to get x by itself, so we're going to add 30 to both sides. So 4x equals 120, and if we divide by 4, we find that x is 30. So our first angle x is 30 degrees. To find the second one, you're going to plug in 3 times 30 minus 30, so 90 minus 30 is 60 degrees. These two angles are 30 degrees and 60 degrees. And we'll discuss the word problems again tomorrow in class. Our homework we'll work on in class is page 47 through 49. We're going to do 8 through 32 all, and then 42 through 52 we'll do the evens.